What's up, people? I am back for another video. Hold on. Today, I am going to be going through my 2024 best of the year. And the fact that I'm happy for myself, proud of myself, I meant to say, that I'm actually was able to come up with 21 more than my worst list. That's all I kind of wanted. I wanted to make sure I had more than my worst of the year list, because like I said, the fact that I was able to get to 18 with my worst list is not good, but the fact that I was able to come up with 21 pretty good films here is pretty good. And I gotta say, there is some pretty good stuff here. There is a lot of bad, but there's been some good. Obviously my number one being Nosferatu, but you got Boy Kills World, a lot of good ones, and we're gonna be going through it. So I can't wait to do this. I love doing these kind of videos towards the end of the year. I have always have fun getting through my best and worst of the year list. So can't wait. What happens next year? Maybe tomorrow I will go through my. I'll probably make a top 5. I could see if I could trot out a top 5 or 10 best of the year list or most anticipated movies of 2025. We will see if I can, because I got a couple like in mind, like off the top of my head. You got Nobody 2 next year. I'm thinking Highlander. Henry Cavill's Highlanders next year. It's 28 years later, which is my most anticipated next year. So I do have a list, and I feel like I can come up with something. So we'll be getting into that. So I'll be doing that tomorrow. Tuesday, I will be reviewing a movie my friend Stieg recommended me. Wednesday, we will be doing Tuesday I'll be doing a movie called New Year's Evil. No, I'm swapping it. I'll be doing the list, my most anticipated of 2025. I'll probably do that on Wednesday. And then Monday, I will be doing a movie called New Year's Evil, which is a New Year's Eve slasher that I just kind of heard about a couple of years. Actually, I remember wanting to review it last year, and I just didn't get around to it. So I'm going to do it this year. Doing it on Monday so we can kind of get it done like a day before New Year's Eve. And then mainly just because the only reason I say Wednesday with the list, I'm going to try to do it like Tuesday afternoon or something like that. Because I do want to get it done on New Year's Eve, but if I can't, I'll just do it on New Year's Day. Because it is New Year's Eve, and I don't know if I'm going to end up doing anything, or if I'm just going to chill out. But if I do chill out, I'll try to do the list on Tuesday, but I'm just gonna say, for safety reasons for now, I'll say Tuesday or Wednesday. And then if I do it Tuesday, then Wednesday I will do a movie my friend Steve recommended me. And then Thursday, for sure, 28 weeks later. And then Friday, I'm gonna do All-Star Superman. We'll be kind of getting into some of the animated Superman films. But I thought it's been a pretty good year in 2024. So I kind of want to just kind of dive right into it. Let's, guess we could start with my number 21. And the reason I have this one a bit lower is more just because I'm not a big Sonic fan, but I did want to put it on the list because it was fun, and I was entertained watching it. Sonic 3. Keanu Reeves as I already kind of gave a mini review a couple weeks ago, but I guess really quick, Sonic 3 was fun. Keanu as Shadow the Hedgehog, the dynamic between Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails was pretty fun. I kind of like that they cut down a lot of the human stuff, because that was actually one of the elements I really not like in the first two. There was too much human stuff. I thought they dialed it down in this one. I even liked some of the Asian characters. Like I liked can't think of her name right now. Is it Kristen Ritter? Kristen Ritter, I think it is her name, but the girl who plays Jessica Jones. She was pretty fun in this. So, and obviously I love Shadow. I do think Jim Carrey is a bit much now as Egghead. That's why I'm kind of cool with him not doing that role anymore. And I'm not a like a Sonic fan like that, but I'm definitely happy for Sonic fans who absolutely love this movie. They clearly respected the lore and the story. And that's just good to see. You know, and the fact that the wild thing is, it all started with a bad Sonic trailer. The fans complained about the design, and they changed it. And the funny thing is, you had weirdos who went at creators of Sonic was like, oh, you don't cave into fans. You shouldn't have caved in. You caved into toxicity and all this shit. Now look at them. 3 successful movies now. On to a 4th. Probably in, who knows? I'll be honest, I'm probably not going to watch because I didn't really care for it. But they're going to probably have some kind of crossover with the Mario movie. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. I'm just saying. You got to listen to fans. And this is going to be on my list. And I know this is low. Sorry, guys. But if it's just, for me, when I rank movies, I do have the aspect of I have to be able to rewatch them like all the time. And not all the time, but like be able to like watch them more than once, and I can just, I'm gonna turn this on, just kind of. But this is one I can't just actively just watch. I have to kind of really be in the mood, but it was really good. And quality-wise, theoretically, this should probably be higher. Objectively, it would probably be way higher, but just because I don't see myself rewatching this like that, my number 20 is The Substance. And Demi Moore in this movie is so good. This is like her best movie in a long fucking time. And this is one I didn't do a review on. I wanted to do a review about it, but really it's about, you know, a woman who used to be like a model and, you know, very famous, but, you know, she's aging. So she takes this thing called The Substance, which basically de-ages her and uses a different actress who plays a younger her. And it's body horror, and essentially she wants to take over her kind of thing. And yeah, I very much recommend. I'm not going to go too into it. This is one of those I kind of want more. And it's not a movie I can really explain. I feel like it's more you kind of got to see for yourself. I can't just like explain it like that. Like I very much want more people to see it. That's why I didn't really do a review around the time it came out. I just kind of. But yeah, The Substance is great. Special effects. Demi Moore's acting was top notch. The weirdos, watch my friend Steph talk about it, and I agree with her. The people who try to make this like political and put all this, there's all these themes about, you know, feminine. Like, shut the fuck up. Just watch the movie. So yeah, I liked it. Definitely one of my favorites of the year. So I know it's lower. It's just I don't see myself actively going my way to watch it like some of these other movies on this list. So that's my number 20. My number 19. I probably should have swapped this the more I thought about it, but I did really like it. And I love this trilogy so far. Maxine. Mia Goth is so fucking great in this whole trilogy. She's the same character as she was in X, basically. If you remember her character Maxine from X, that's who she is in this. The only thing I don't love is the whole reveal with her dad and the cult stuff in the third act. I do think it kind of falls apart in the third act, but I mostly still love everything else. The aesthetic, they really pulled off making it the 80s. I love the characters, and obviously I think it was a nice extension of the world. And it was around the time of the, like, the Richard Ramirez Night Stalker murders. So I really thought they really captured that vibe. And there's a little satanic panic in there too. And I think more why I like this film, I will say it is the weaker of the three. I will say, if I had to rank them, it's X, Pearl, and then probably in release order, honestly. But I still think this is a good movie. I just think, I think why I really liked it. It kind of obviously not as good, but it did give me like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood vibes in the sense of I felt like I was really in. I think the film's supposed to be set in 1985, and yeah, it really made you feel like you were in 1985. Like I just felt like I was in like a time capsule kind of movie where I'm like, wow, I actually felt like I'm here. You could tell they put a lot of work into that aspect of the movie. I do think, like I said, the third act could have been better. The reveal with the killer and her father, it just felt a little uneventful when she just kills him. And I do like the way it ends when she does become an actress and all that. And I did like the female director she worked for. She was, I think she pulled off being a bitch, but still likable. And yeah, I overall still like this movie. I just, I have little gripes. I just kind of wish the third act could have been a bit better, but I overall love it. So, I definitely think it's been a great trilogy. I don't necessarily need more, but Mia Goth's a great actress, and I'm happy she's getting a bit more work because I think she's one of those actresses. She's a character actress where she's great at playing characters, and um, yeah, but that's all I could really say. Yeah, Maxine's great. It's not a obviously. I don't think it's as gory as Pearl and X, but it's pretty good. And the scenes where they do go gory are pretty gory. And my number 18, Killer's Game. I fucking love this movie. Batista, the whole premise basically is this assassin who does a hit on himself because he thinks he's dying from an illness because the doctor diagnoses him, but he misdiagnoses him. So he basically has to stop the hit on himself and try to get with his girlfriend, Sophie Botella, who unfortunately was really wasted in Rebel Moon, is actually a really good actress. She's awesome in this movie. Terry Crews was great. I love the whole premise. I love the different assassins and the way they each kind of got their own showcase. It was a fun all around movie. This is definitely one of those movies. I probably might watch it again here soon. I definitely see myself watching it here again soon because I fucking love this movie. This was one of my favorite Batista roles. I think Batista continues to show range as an actor. I love the it had a Tarantino, a little bit of Edgar Wright feel where it's very character driven, and not like I mean, I love the premise. That's like one of the big things I love about this movie is the whole premise. Like he actually puts a hit on himself because he thinks he's dying, and he wants to give his girlfriend the money, but then he realizes he gets misdiagnosed, and then yeah, because he ends up breaking up with her, and he has to try to get back with her, and also try to protect her because all these assassins are coming for him, and he also eventually might come for her. Yeah, it's a fun movie, man. I definitely had fun watching it in the theater. I wish it did better. Drew McIntyre is fucking great. I think if he gets in acting, I don't know if I can see him as like a lead actor, but I definitely think he can be like a enforcer kind of role, like or even like a villain kind of role. I think he'd nail it. I thought he was fun in this movie, even though it was a minor character. I thought he was great. So, Killer's Game. I had to put it on here. I definitely recommend it, especially if you just like fun little action movies. My number 17, Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. This is one that's sad because I love this movie, but unfortunately it bombed because Alan Richardson had to open his dumb fucking mouth. And I think it was like something about the police, and I don't even know the I don't remember the context, I think, because this was months ago when this happened. This movie came out March. Yeah, it was in March. And it was a fun theater experience. I was really excited. I love Guy Ritchie. Guy Ritchie did another really good thing earlier this year with The Gentleman. So I'm really happy, and I actually liked Operation Fortune, which came out last year in 2023. So I was like, oh, he's kind of back. Not kind of, he's been fucking back, you know. So to see him make another movie, and Henry Cavill, who was unfortunately one of my worst movies of the year, with Ministry with Argyle. So to kind of get him in this movie, where I'll admit he has much more of a role in this. You have a lot of the Guy Ritchie dialogue. I love that it was a different time period in World War II. It wasn't just like, oh, here's another Nazi-occupied Germany or Europe movie. It was Nazi-occupied, if I remember, Africa. It was something different. I think the only criticism I had was like the weird B plot with like the characters on the land. I didn't need that shit. Like, I don't know why that was thrown in there. I don't want to be that guy who's like, oh, but diversity. I think it was more just, I don't know if it was like Guy Ritchie felt like he needed to have like people on the land doing espionage. I didn't need that element. I think if he just focused on Henry's people mainly, and if you had to have the girl, she should have came in towards the end when you try to have her go undercover to try to get info on the villain. That should have been it. I think that should have been her only real role. I didn't need a lot of the other stuff. But I definitely really love this movie. I love the dialogue. It had all the great Guy Ritchie stuff. Good soundtrack, great action. Great kills too. Villain was fun. No sympathetic villain bullshit. That's the one thing I love about Guy Ritchie. He knows how to just make bad guys be bad guys. No, you don't need no bullshit backstory and why they're bad. No, they're just bad. And it works. You know? And I hate pointing this out, but it's one of those movies where you can have a movie about killing Nazis, but there's no like, there's movies now where they make that, like, there's nothing wrong with making the Nazis bad, but they have to like virtue signal about it, because the truth of the matter is I think Nazis are everywhere. A lot of the people who make these movies. So it's like the Red Scare kind of satanic panic kind of shit. So they have to like throw that in everything. So that's what I feel like this movie didn't do, but it was just a fun all around movie. Unfortunately, it didn't do well, but I definitely think it holds up. I watched it at least 3 times, I think now I've seen it. So I definitely think it's a good movie. It's just I wish it did better. If Alan Richardson did not open his fucking mouth, man. And it sucks. And I was even saying this at the time, like, Guy Ritchie and fucking Henry Cavill had to be fucking pissed off at him. Because this is actually a movie Henry Cavill shines in. And it's like, it flops because one of the actors had to open his dumb fucking mouth. And Guy Ritchie, who's having a great year with The Gentleman, this could have been, and I do think still is part of a great year, but it could have been a better year if this movie did better. If fucking Alan Richardson just didn't open his fucking mouth and turn off, like, the way I see it, he turned off the audience that potentially would have wanted to go see this movie. I think that's the truth of the matter. Like, he turned off the audience that probably would have been more likely to see this movie. I'm just gonna say it. He did. And it's weird because I don't even remember I don't think there was like any other big competition like that. So I don't understand why Alan Richardson just felt the need to just tank this movie, because I hate to say it, that's what did it, but I think that's what it was, because, and I also do agree, I don't think it was necessarily marketed well either, so I think that was part of it too, but then it didn't help Alan Richardson open his mouth, because I keep saying it. The audience that have been definitely inclined to see this kind of movie, he turned off. He just did. So, but anyways, great film. I had to put it on my list. My number 16 is Ricky Stenicki. And this is one, I'm actually shocked. This is one I had no expectations for. I just watched with my friend Calman and Tyler, and yeah, it was fucking fun. I just watched it with a group of friends, and it was a nice throwback comedy, and it was just on streaming. We were more watching because I thought it was gonna be shit. I'm gonna be honest. I thought it was gonna be shit. I like John Cena, but I was kind of expecting it to be kind of a shitty comedy. It was actually funny. John Cena, even in this movie, shows range. Having to play, having to pose as their friend Ricky Stenicki. He was a friend they made up. It was a nice throwback comedy. Zac Efron, I'm loving these kind of newer roles he's been doing. This one, obviously, the Iron Claw last year. He's another one. I think he's shown range, and yeah, I'll be honest. Yeah, he was the High School Musical kid, but he grew up and it started. He realized, I can actually make funny comedies, and even obviously Iron Claw. I think it's his best role. But then obviously diving back into the comedy with this, it was a nice throwback kind of comedy that I would have loved to have actually seen in theaters, and I think it would have did well. But unfortunately, it just, I don't know if it was a case of they don't know if they didn't think it would make money because it's not like a Marvel comedy or anything like that. It was a throwback comedy, like it not in the vein of, not maybe not in the same way, but like kind of American Pie, a 40-year-old version. Like, think of a comedy like that where it was just more, it was just kind of real life, nothing tied with Marvel or anything like that. It was just a nice throwback comedy. And that's what this movie was to me. It was actually pretty funny. And actually, I'm going to say it, Cena showed range as an actor just in this movie. Because he has serious moments in this movie where he actually shows his real acting chops. And I'm going to say it, man. Cena's getting to that point where I think I've always thought this, but he has outclassed The Rock as an actor. Because the truth of the matter is, John Cena is one of those actors, he knows that laugh at himself. I think that's just the difference between him and The Rock. Cena's willing to laugh at himself. He's willing to humble himself, and he probably doesn't have a problem losing a fight. Like in Fast 9, he was the bad guy. And I haven't seen the movie, but if I remember, he lost the fight. In some way, shape, or form, he lost the fight. He didn't like fucking like The Rock, who does vanity projects. That's kind of what I see him. That's how I see The Rock as an actor now. He just does vanity projects for himself to look good, be the badass, and that's it. No range. And it's stupid because The Rock has shown range in wrestling. But it's like in Hollywood, he just doesn't want to show it because he feels like, I just got to be the badass and don't really get punched and be the, and be The Rock. Whereas you've got actors like Batista who's shown range, and obviously he's on this list. Even with like Knock at the Cabin. And then Cena. Obviously I don't love Peacemaker, but then stuff like this. Like, even like, I think he was in Daddy's Home too. Like, he's Cena's willing to laugh at himself and do different type of roles. And even do kind of serious roles. Because there's moments in this where he does kind of get serious and talk about himself as a person. It's very fucking good. I fucking love this movie. It is. I haven't watched it again yet, but I do want to watch it again. It was just a nice throwback comedy. It was a comedy I hadn't seen in a fucking long time. Because it's a comedy we don't get anymore. Where it was just, I would have loved to have seen this in theaters. To be honest, I'm going to reiterate. I'm actually shocked how good it was. I'm going to keep it surprised. I'm going to be honest, in terms of a surprise of the year, this would be it probably. Because I didn't have a lot of faith in it. I thought it was going to be shit. Not a lot of faith in it. I thought it was going to be absolute shit. I was expecting shit, and I actually got good. So, yeah. By number 15. Number 15. Some people will get that joke. But number 15 is another one I don't think a lot of people have seen. I kind of wish more people did. And this was a movie that Russell Crowe was in that was actually really good. Yeah, unfortunately he ended the year with Craven, but I do think Russell Crowe's still a great actor. He did Pope's Exorcist last year, and you know, Land of Bad this year. He plays a drone pilot who has to watch basically his team get killed and kidnapped, and then on the other side, the guy has to try to get out. It was a fucking great film, man. It was a nice throwback survival kind of action movie. I wish I did see it in theaters, but I didn't know what it was. I think it was a bit after anyway, but it is a great little movie, and Russell Crowe's great as the drone pilot and having to try to do things from home. I loved it, man. I'm not going to talk about it a lot because this is one of those I actually want people to see. So, I'm going to be honest. I guess I'll have a runner-up, so this will be a 22 technically list now. So this will be, I guess I'm on number 15, so this will be like 15B. A movie called Sting that I saw earlier this year. It's about a killer spider. A kid, finds a pet spider, and it's a spider from like space. Starts kind of killing people in an apartment, and she has to kill it in the end. And the special effects are pretty decent. I like that it's in one set. I've always been a fan of movies because I always think it's pretty creative when, if you don't have a big budget. Some people think it's lazy, but I like it. If you can make use of just having one set or just one area, like if you're just going to have this movie, let's say it's set just in this apartment building, because that's kind of what it is. It's not like just this apartment, just this specific apartment. It's like the entire building or like a portion of the building. And you do have other characters, like people in the apartment are starting to get picked off by the spider and they have to survive. I like it, man. It was a nice throwback creature feature. I love creature features, and I just hate that we don't really get a lot of them anymore. Or if we do, they're all like on sci-fi, or they're like straight to streaming generally, and they're pretty shit. And they don't usually put any effort in. It seems like the only kind of quote-unquote creature features are like they somewhat try are like sharks. Just because you do have like... I think it's just because sharks had Jaws, and for whatever reason, Hollywood looks at other animal creature features as like kind of low budget. I don't know what it is. They look at them, they look down on them. It's like the only ones that somewhat, not, and I'm not even saying all the time, but somewhat is shark movies. I think it's just because Jaws carries it. How iconic that was. Whereas you don't have a Jaws for like killer snakes. You have Anaconda, but that's a good movie, but that's like a dumb fun movie. That's not on par with Jaws. You have Alligator for Killer Crocs, and even Lake Placid. Love both those movies. They're not on par with Jaws. So I just I guess somewhat the other ones, and I don't know if I even look at them in creature features in the same way as like Jurassic Park. It's like it seems like every other creature feature they don't get respect, so they kind of have one that's good here with Sting. I thought I did put it on my list, but I did want to give it a mention just because. And yeah, if you are scared of spiders, you might get a little creeped out by this movie. I genuinely recommend it though, man. It's a nice little throwback creature feature we haven't gotten. It's actually good, not like one they just don't give a shit about. My number 14, Immaculate. Immaculate, this is one I only saw just because I like Sydney Sweeney as an actress, and not just because she's hot. This is actually the movie that I would say, if you want to see Sydney Sweeney like actually acting, watch her in this movie. She plays a completely different character. Like, she plays a nun. You don't see her tits. And she actually shows range as an actress, and, she gives born to the Antichrist, and obviously weird things kind of start happening. I actually recommend it, man. It's pretty creepy. It's a little atmospheric, great performances. That third act is wild, and when she gives birth to it, and she has to unfortunately kill it in the end there. it's it's pretty graphic. I like it, man. It's a different role for Sydney Sweeney. Like, if you want to see a movie where you people could say she's a good actress and it's not just, oh, people only like her because tits. No, she's actually a good actress in this movie. Like, and I mean it. Like, I gotta give her flowers. So I definitely want to see her more roles like this, to be honest, where she is doing a bit more character work, because I think she can do it. I thought she did a pretty good job in this, where I'm like, you know what? Props. So I didn't do a review on it. I just felt like this was one of those I just gonna watch it and I think I remember talking about it in a video. I just didn't do like a video on it, but maybe sometime I will do a video on it. But if you remember, and this is gonna be, it came out around the same time as another movie that is gonna be on my list, The First Omen. Kind of funny they came out around the same time, and it was actually an interesting theater experience. I actually went to the theater for this one, and yeah. So my number my number 13 is Beverly Hills Cop 4. This one I actually really liked. It was nice seeing Axel Foley back, especially because I'm gonna be honest, Beverly Hills Cop 3 was not good. I don't hate it like a lot of other people do, but it was not good. It was definitely a step down. You could tell Eddie didn't really want to be there, so to see him in this. So when I see some people say it was really bad, I'm like, the only element I will agree I didn't really love was the daughter. She gets better towards the end, but I'll be honest, yeah, the scenes where she's like admonishing him are like the only scenes I'd cut out. That's why I even said in my review, good but frustrating is that element. But that element isn't even there that long after watching it a second and third time. Eddie Murphy is fucking funny, and I love that opening scene at the ice skating rink. I love seeing Burke back. Not Burke, but the actor who plays Burke in it, back as the chief. Um, it was like a nice logical. The only character I thought was a bit useless was Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I didn't really need him in the movie. It was even nice seeing Rosewood back and Taggart, older Taggart. It was nice seeing him back, especially him not being in the third one. And that scene in the end. I'm sorry. I like Beverly Hills Cop 5. The only four. I'm sorry. The only problem I have, another one I have, Kevin Bacon is predictable as the fucking bad guy. It's like the moment you see him, oh, he's a villain. It's like it's Pedro Pascal in Equalizer 2, where it's like the moment you see him, he's a villain. There's no like, you don't even like have to like wait for the movie to actually play it out. You just, yeah, he's a villain. You just fucking know. Like the moment you see him, it's so like, you could have, yeah. Kevin Bacon was still fine as the villain. It was just, if you're gonna have it just be that obvious, just have him be the villain from the start and no like hiding it. You should have just had him be the bad guy just openly. I would have just rather him just be the open villain if you're just gonna go that route. But other than that, I mostly like Beverly Hills Cop 4. I thought it was a nice callback. I love the score. That opening chase, man, in the ice skating rink, him and then chasing the robbers. I love that scene. That's Axel Foley. You could tell like Eddie Murphy was having fun. I don't necessarily want a fifth one. I'm cool with just 4, and well, really 4 being the loosely the unofficial third movie. In my mind, it's Beverly Hills Cop 1, 2, and then 4. I don't even acknowledge 3. I even feel like 4 doesn't even really acknowledge 3. 4 feels like more like a sequel to 2. So honestly, that's how I look at it. I don't need another one. I don't really want one. But I will say, I was worried about this coming out just because obviously how bad. Because Eddie Murphy lately has been, especially in the 20 teens and the 2020s, and obviously even in the early 2000s, he was very hit and miss. And, Dolomite was great in 2019, but then he did fucking Coming to America 2, which was just, it was so bad I didn't even finish it. It was like, I didn't even finish it. I watched a lot of it, though. It was fucking awful. So I was like, oh, I was so worried about this. So it was like, thankfully, this was good. There were some funny jokes, and I love the callbacks to, like, it had, like, the opening songs from both the first movie and the second one. Like, it was like a nice blending of both films with that, so I love Beverly Hills Cop 4. So, my number 12, Heretic. This was one I saw on a whim, just because I saw the trailer. I'm like, oh, this looks good. Hugh Grant. I mean, the premise is these two girls, Norman girls, try to convert a reclusive man, Hugh Grant, Mr. Reed, and he's more dangerous than it seems. This is gonna be one because it's like a mystery box type of movie. I want to go more into when I do a whole review on it. So I did watch it in theaters. It was a fun experience that is very trippy, very mindfuck kind of movie. So I want the audience to kind of more see it. And I also too want to go through it again in a review, like an actual detailed review. So probably here, if not this week, but maybe next week, I will probably I will do a review on it, because I do want to watch it again. That's one of the reasons I didn't do a review at the time I saw it in the theater. But it was a fun theater experience, cool visuals. Hugh Grant is great. He showed a different side of himself as an actor, because he usually plays more like kind of fun characters generally, right? Like especially like Operation Fortune, like that's the kind of characters Hugh Grant usually plays. So for him to play a different role like this, and it worked. So I will definitely go. I will review it, not this week, but next week, and so I can go more into it. So I will save a lot of what I want to say for my review. But my number 11 is Abigail. This is one this was awesome. This is like one of the. It's been nice seeing a nice resurgence of great vampire films, lately. Especially with like the damage like Twilight kind of did to vampires for a while. So to see like a nice return to good vampire films is great. And the premise is these robbers kidnap the daughter. Turns out the daughter is a vampire. And, she's a ballerina vampire. Very kind of, it does have like a Rat Pack feel to it a little bit. And I think the only criticism I have is I would have rather Abigail just been a villain. Because I actually even though the dude was a douchebag, I liked his character. Funny characters. I like the different, personalities. All great actors. They all had great chemistry. It starts off normal, very violent. It's actually pretty funny. I've watched this film a couple of times this year. That was actually a fun experience in the theater. I thought it was like, it's one of my favorite theater experiences in the sense of all the audience was laughing. Everybody was clearly having a good time with this one. I don't remember if it made money, but I hope it did, because it was awesome. Melissa Barrera showed me she is a good actress. Unfortunately, she was just in those shitty new Scream movies. Or Scream 5. Scream 6 is not uber shitty, but it has problems. But I felt like she wasn't able to kind of show how good of an actress she was, as in this. She was good. I liked all the characters, and you kind of felt bad when they all died. Yeah, so overall, one of my favorites of the year. This is definitely one of my favorite horrors of the year. And number 10 is technically, I'll probably say, the funnest horror of the year. And I do want to say it's my favorite, but objectively it has to be Late Night with the Devil. Like, I just think that was just a better film, but I definitely had more fun with this one. Number 10, Terrifier 3, because now we're in top 10 territory now. Terrifier 3 was one. This is like one of my most hyped films of the year because I love the Terrifier franchise. It's a nice return to old school slashers to have a character that's ongoing, who's actually still good. And you can tell Damien Leone also misses having that. He is filling that slasher void, unfortunately, because and it was perfect timing too, right? Because Terrifier 3, funny enough, came out the same time as shitty Halloween Ends and Scream 5, and all my favorite slashers are all going in the shitter. Freddy's in limbo, Jason's in limbo, so it's like all my favorite and Chucky's fucking doing whatever the fuck he was doing in that shitty show. It was nice to have Art just come in and fill that void, and I think he's filling it. I don't want to say I was gonna say filling it hard, but but you know what I mean. He is taking that fucking baton and running with it, man. He is fucking running with it to the point he's carrying it. To me, Art is the slasher franchise genre right now. He is the face of it now. Terrifier 3 showed it, and it was the fact that it was a Christmas movie, and it was like, that was actually one of the things I was really excited about. Oh, they're making it a Christmas movie. Interesting. And then the trailers were good, and now we have an actual, we have a final girl with Sienna, so to bring her back. So I'm not saying you need to skip the first one, but I think you could watch the first one if you just want to see what Art is, because I said the first one is is a concept, and 2 and 3 is really the franchise, because 2 and 3 has a continuous character you follow with Sienna. And Lauren Lavera really, she's one of my, if I had to say favorite female character in a movie, not if I said overall, it would be Sophia from Penguin, but if we're taking just movie, it might be Sienna. Her performance in this, the way she, the whole PTSD, you fucking believe it, man. You feel bad for this girl, having, hallucinations, like the scene at the dinner table where she hallucinates seeing her dead friend, or seeing Art at the mall. Like, you feel it. Like, it was like, man, this is giving me like Sydney vibes. It was nice having a nice final girl again, who's actually well written, who's likable. And, obviously the kills were great. Art, you could tell, was having fun. And Art was fucking great in this. Like, there were moments he was just making me fucking laugh. Titty. It's a nice throwback slasher, and it is a Christmas movie. You feel that Christmas tone. And I'm gonna say it, Art goes full on terrorist in this way. There's a scene where he gives kids toys, and one kid's opening a box. It's a fucking bomb. He straight up does terrorism. He's straight up terrorist now. Now I will say, yeah, he does kill kids in this one. Not even just in that scene, in the opening scene. They don't show it, you do hear it. But yeah. So Art doesn't hold back. So I can understand if that's why I say Terrifier is not for everybody. It definitely isn't, especially the third one, because they do kill kids. If that's like your line, you don't want kids killed, then yeah, probably don't watch this one. Even if you don't because even they don't show it. They do show the aftermath. I'll mention that. I'm just gonna spoil that just because, so you don't get surprised, because they do show the aftermath. There's a scene where the mom walks in and you do see the kid's body parts. But yeah, if that's your line, I can understand. But for me, it was nice just having a nice slasher back. And Vicky is, I've seen some people don't like Vicky. Some people don't like the idea of Art having like an assistant. They kind of rather Art be by himself, and they felt like it takes away from Art. I disagree, because the only scenes where they kill together is the beginning. Once they, he goes off and, gets the costume, then goes to the mall, and then kills the kids at the the couple at the college. That was all Art by himself. So I feel like you get a lot of Art by himself. So I don't even agree with that. The only scenes where him and Vicky kill together is in the beginning. And then obviously in the end when they have Sienna hostage. So yeah, overall, Terrifier 3 was fucking awesome. It's definitely my favorite horror. Fun. It's the most fun horror of the year. It's not. It objectively. It almost subjectively is my favorite of the year, but objectively it just can't be. My number 9 is Deadpool and Wolverine. Deadpool 3. I had no faith in this one because it was Disney. As much as I love Ryan Reynolds, I was like, I don't know, is he gonna be able to do what he wants? And I felt like he did. Him and Wolverine is what carries this film. Him and Hugh Jackman's chemistry is what carried. And I've always said going into it, I knew that's what it was gonna be. That the story is probably not gonna be great, but what carries it is gonna be their chemistry, and boy did it. Let me start off by saying this movie has a lot of fucking problems. The villain wasn't any good. Villains, like the like the multiverse guy or the Professor X's sister, neither of them were good villains. I thought the Deadpool fight in the end, where he's fighting the Deadpool clones, dragged on a bit. And I don't love how they just quickly kill off Sabretooth. I think Sabretooth could have did a bit better. But other than that, I mostly love this movie. Like, it was nice seeing Blade again. I'm sorry, the one and only Blade. All the other... Even bringing Elektra back, and I didn't like that fucking movie. But it was nice seeing her. Granted, the only thing, I just wish she was in her actual costume. But whatever. Jennifer Garner, you could tell, bulked up, and I even love they even threw Ben Affleck joke in there. Henry Cavill was cool. The different Wolverines, even like the accurate size Wolverine was fucking funny. Even then, obviously, the amount of comic callbacks, obviously the callback to the Wolverine versus Hulk, Wolverine in like that brown costume, it was nice seeing that. Wolverine in his actual costume, that was cool. Even if he didn't suit up, like even the scenes when he didn't have the mask on, I was fine. I was like, at least he's in the costume. It was just nice seeing him in the costume. And I'm happy they didn't hold back on the gore. Okay, another criticism. I didn't like how they broke up him and Vanessa. That was stupid. You didn't need to break them up. I don't love when movies do that. Just break up couples just because, oh, he gave up on him. So that was forced. That was... Sorry for hearing noises. That was very contrived. You didn't need to break them up. They could have stayed together for the movie. You could have easily had... The movie could have still worked and they still been together. Because she wasn't even in it as much as in it anyway. So I would have just cut out them breaking up. That's the only thing. But I love this movie, man. It was a nice callback. It was a nice love letter to Fox. It was kind of cool seeing X-23, like not fully grown, but like as a teenager, and the actress still did a great job. And it was at least cool to see her and Wolverine have a scene together. At least we got to see that. I just wish we got a bit more of it, but overall, yeah, I love Deadpool 3. It was a nice comic book film. It was like the first comic book film in a while. Like, okay, this is actually pretty good. But it makes sense because it was Ryan Reynolds. Like I said, even with the amount of problems I had with it. My number 8, and this is another really great horror of the year, Smile 2. Smile 2 was... This is funny because I liked... The first one was okay, but I said this in my review, and I'm going to... Every time I mention this movie, I'm going to always bring this up. This should have been Smile 1. This is what Smile 1 should have been. To me, this is a better start. It explains the whole entity story far better than the first one did. I wonder if they heeded a lot of criticisms, or took a lot of criticisms, and to heart, because I wonder because they didn't really. I feel like in the first one they didn't explain it, and I understand in the first movie. I'm normally like, you shouldn't explain it, but I do want to have an idea of how the thing works. And I feel like this one does it better. I felt like a lot of the scenes where people are doing the smile in a lot of the problem I have with the first one, there's moments where it was just goofy when people would smile. It looked like a joke. It wasn't creepy. It was just like, okay, that's just fucking, you're being cringe. You're trying too hard to be scary. Whereas I felt like in this, they actually like were creepy genuinely. The acting was great. Naomi Scott was just a far better lead. Another probably great female character in a film would be her. Her performance in this, you feel her everything. Obviously, not everything she does is right. I love when you find obviously the accident was caused by her, and the scene when she's about to crash, and then then they go into the tree, and then she wakes up. A lot of like great cinematography. A lot of shots of like when the world, her mind's going upside down, and like the world turns upside down. Very well done. There's a scene when she dreams, and she dreams like a car horn is obviously because it's reminding her of what happened that night. Like she's sleeping next to her friend, and her friend's eyes turn into a car horn, and like the lights come out of her face. It is fucking. I'm like, god damn, what a shot! Or the scene where all the dancers come together because that's like the entity getting her, and they're all like the coordination in that. Like everything about this movie is just so good. And then obviously the big reveals, like some of the stuff that's been happening to her, none of it actually fucking happened. The entity making her think she killed her mom was very sad. And her mom was, the deaths are brutal in this one. The one dude beating his face to death with a weight, or her mom slitting her throat and then cutting her eye out. Obviously it wasn't real, but still, the entity was just everything with her. Obviously making her think her friend forgave her, but it turns out it wasn't. Her friend actually never even took a call. It's like, holy shit. The amount of just everything breaking down. It's a perfect film, man. This is what the first one really should have been. And the way this one ends leaves you like, oh man, I cannot wait for Smile 3. Because now the world knows about the entity. Because everybody's seen this concert. I really love that. Really makes me like, I cannot wait to how they do this third one, man. So, I definitely recommend it. I almost borderline say, you don't even need to watch the first one. Just watch this one. This one gives you a better explanation. It even kind of gives you a quick rundown of the first one far better than this one did, than the first movie did. Not saying the first movie's terrible, and I initially didn't love the idea of the entity being a physical creature. I am actually okay with it now. Because the way they did in this, and that fucking ending, when it comes out of her and then it goes into her and takes her over, and then she stabs herself, it is pretty fucking wild. That was a trippy visual. Like, there's a lot of crazy visuals in this. I fucking love Smile 2. And unfortunately, it's weird that it's not in a lot of best movies of the year list, because it should be. Continuing with the horror trend, because I'm gonna be honest, this has been a really good year for horror. I've been saying that. I really feel like the last like 2 years have been like the strongest years for horror. Obviously the Terrifier films, Nosferatu, Nefarious last year, X in 2022, Pearl. Like, there's been some really strong horror like the last couple, like 2 years. And it's continuing here with the first Omen. This was one I didn't even want. I didn't even really like the idea of an Omen prequel. I just didn't. I wrote it off. I was like, this is going to be shit. This is one of the movies I've said that I was actually wrong about this year, because I was like, this is going to be shit. I didn't need this. But my friend Jaluk recommended me to watch it. He said it's actually really good. And it actually goes right into the first one perfectly, and boy does it. It is a nice telling of the original, of the prequel, and it goes right into the first one. And it's not one of those prequels that explains all the little details that are unnecessary. No, it's the perfect, what I would want in a prequel is just what happened before, but do not give me every little detail. oh, here's how this happened. Here's how Han Solo got his name, or how this happened. I don't need all the little details like that. Or apparently what the Mufasa um, prequel does, where it explains like how the rock formed and how the monkey got his power. It's like shit like that. I don't need to know all the little details. I like that in this. It's just simply this happened before, and then this is how we got to the next film. And man, it is like a perfect setup into the like. It is like a perfect glove. Like whatever problem, like it reminds me as much of problems I have with this one. The Thing prequel, the way it ended, how it goes right into the 1982 film. I love when it's like a perfect transition into the original Omen, and even to the like aesthetic. They clearly made it like they even to the point made it look 70s. Like I felt like, oh, we're like in the like they didn't like they actually put work into making it match the aesthetic of the original. So yeah, I definitely like the first Omen. It was actually pretty creepy with a lot of the creepy scenes, and I thought Damien was pretty good in it. So yeah, the first Omen, I pretty good. And continuing on with horror, like 6 through like 8 is just a streak of horror. It's been and now obviously if you take out Deadpool 3, even 10 if you include that, and 11 even with Abigail. Number 6, Late Night with the Devil. This is my favorite horror of the year. This whole found footage movie where it's they're on this talk show, which is this footage from this 1970. They really do a good job of making you feel like you're in 1976. And I know the ending is very disputed. I love the ending. I love the whole reveal that he ends up stabbing the little girl and the police come. I didn't necessarily see it as a hallucination. The way I saw it is, the demon made him see all these things. Obviously, he joined, it mentioned the occult and, like, those weird cults, like, that go to, like, that certain grove. Bohemian Grove. I was trying to think of the name. Bohemian Grove. Like, they mentioned that. The actual scenes where they do show the possession with the girl, and in the end, where she kills everybody, is fucking crazy. Like, the effects, the acting, and the fact that it feels like an actual TV show. It's like one of the few different types of found footage, because it's found footage, but it's also, they do try to make it shot like a movie too. So they do put work in it. It's not just a camera shaking around, right? Like, it's actually like, they actually put work into it. I fucking love this movie, man. The ending might bother some people, but I like it. I know some people don't like it. I know it's hit and miss for some, but I fucking Siren. I think another thing I love is the little atmosphere this film has, and the build up. As it does just kind of start off as like a normal talk show. Then it just kind of proceeds to build up and build up into something more, and obviously by the end, this big crescendo. That's why I love it. That's what, like, it's the journey to that crescendo. So yeah, I love this movie. Even with some of the problems that people have with it, I love it. Like, when I think horror this year, it's my favorite. Objectively, obviously, Terrifier 3 subjectively is my favorite. Because I'll admit, I do find myself watching that one a bit more. I have watched Late Night with the Devil a couple times, though. I've found myself rewatching it, so it's not like I've only seen this once. I have watched this multiple times. This was a great theater experience. I'm happy I saw it in the theater. I saw it in the theater just because I saw the trailer and it looked interesting. And the lead character was great character, even though obviously you find out what happens, with his wife. And yeah, he clearly made a deal with the devil. And that's kind of what this movie was. The title, I love when the title actually has use. Because that's what this was. It was Late Night with the Devil. That's what this movie was. Yeah, I fucking love this film, man. I very much find myself rewatching this for the rest of the time. It is a great horror film. And yeah, that's my number 6. And I'm pretty sure outside of my number 1, the horror's kind of done here. My number 5 is The Fall Guy. This is another one I wish did better. I don't know why it didn't do well. Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. And I'm going to say it's a love letter to just stunt work. And not just stunt work, but Hollywood. You know, and action movies and all kinds of just, like the stunt work is like a big part. I know this is based off a show. I've never seen The Fall Guy as a show. So I know some people who watch the show do not like the movie, but I enjoy it. I thought it was a nice love story, which was, and I'm not like someone who like loves love stories normally, but it's nice to see a good one. You know, when it's good, you can clearly tell when the characters actually love each other. I love the soundtrack. I love the characters. Ryan Gosling was fucking awesome in this. Aaron Taylor Johnson was awesome. I'm going to say, I'm probably going to mention this again in my Nosferatu review. And I'm not going to go too much into that because I've already did a whole review on that recently. But Aaron Taylor Johnson, they got to stop trying to make him an action star. I think, to me, and I said this earlier in a stream, that he's a character actor. They gotta stop trying to make him like an action star. Like, stop trying to throw him in like Godzilla and fucking. Granted, he wasn't terrible in Kraven, but he should not be in action movies like Kraven. They trying to make him like an action star, and I just don't think it works. The movies I've noticed that works is stuff like this, Nosferatu, Bullet Train. That's like after Nosferatu. That's probably my second favorite Aaron Taylor Johnson role. But I also love him in this movie as a douchebag actor. He's basically Logan Paul. He's an actor. It was fucking great. The villain lady, like, it was, and you know, it was just an all-around great film. And you wanted Ryan to get the girl in the end. I haven't seen the extended cut yet because it's on Peacock. I eventually will get to it. But it's a great film, man. It's almost like so good, I don't even need it, really. I mean, maybe it's how I'm looking at it, somewhat, like, subtly, subconsciously, maybe. Like, I don't necessarily need more. I felt like this was a nice little film. I definitely do want to watch it, though, because I could use a lot more. And it sucks it didn't do well in theaters. I don't know if it's a case of too many things were coming out. People didn't know what The Fall Guy was. It wasn't marketed well. I don't know what it was. Because on all purposes, it should have did decently. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's one of my favorite action films of the year. It was funny. It had everything you want. If you love like action movies and stunts, this is a love letter to that. You know? And it had a fun soundtrack. Fuck, The Darkness. I haven't listened to, I believe, a thing called Love in a long fucking time, and they played that in the movie. So, you know, even Jason Momoa's little cameo in the end was pretty funny. So, yeah, I love this movie. Number 4, Bad Boys 4. It's pretty funny. I love Bad Boys 4. This is one I didn't know about, because I'll be honest, the trailers were not that great to me. So I was kind of worried. And I did like Bad Boys 3. And I did think this was like a perfect follow-up to it. And my opinion, as much as I still don't really love the whole bastard kid subplot with Marcus, I do like to make Armando useful, and I actually love his fight scene in the prison. I'm not gonna say of the movies, this probably has the best action of all of them. The action in this is fucking crazy. It's not even just like your normal Bad Boys action. The scene with Marcus's son, holy shit! Not Marcus's son. Not Marcus's son. Marcus's stepson in the house. Reggie's scene. Holy fucking shit. That, I was not expecting a John Wick level type action scene in a fucking Bad Boys movie, But here we are, and the fact that Marcus and Mike were watching it was great. I love how it implemented the characters from the third one. The only thing I didn't really love that Mike was split from the girl from the last one. I didn't really like they were just randomly broken up, and Mike just he's engaged to he gets married to another woman. Like what? I didn't really like that. And the actor, if you remember, who's her boyfriend, the other girl's boyfriend, who actually works with the villain. The villain was pretty good too. He was a decent little villain. The only and one of the problems I had was the whole making Mike and Marcus enemies, which they actually explain well in the movie, and it's not actually that long. And they have Karen from fucking Better Call Saul in this, because she's the daughter of Mike and Marcus's boss, if you remember, who got shot in the last movie. So I actually think it's one of the things I like about this movie. It's one of those, it brings them all together. It kind of brings all the movies together in a way. You know, it mentions all three films. Like, it ties them all together, the first, the second, the third film. And I like, you know, as much as I didn't care for, I think I said Marcus's son. I meant Mike's son. I didn't like the whole bastard son subplot, but I do think they make use of it in the third one. The action's great. I love the character switch up with Marcus, where after his near-death experience, he's much more like, he's more open to taking risk, and Mike has to be the one to kind of hold him back and play the Marcus role. I love that stuff. It was a genuinely great movie. I watched it a couple times now, and yeah, it fits into the Bad Boy franchise. It's probably if I had to be objective, it might be I don't know. I think I might like it more than Bad Boys 2. I like Bad Boys 2, but and I granted that the scene with Reggie in the door will always be classic with, you know, when you first meet Reggie, but Bad Boys 4 was just so good, and having now seen it a couple times, it might be my second favorite. It is so good. It is sad that Bad Boys, I'm gonna always mention this, that Bad Boys was a better return for a franchise than like Star Wars and or Jurassic Park and a lot of my other favorites that kind of flubbed the landing as returns. The fact that Bad Boys was able to do it twice now, 2 pretty good movies. 3 was good, and then this one's definitely way better than 3. And I like 3. So I definitely recommend seeing it, especially if you like Bad Boys, the other Bad Boys movies, you'll like Bad Boys 4. Especially if you just want to see a franchise be respected, Bad Boys 4 is how you do it. And 3. I would kind of say combined. So Bad Boys 4 is my number 4. Now we're in the top 3 territory. My number 3 is The Beekeeper. This is for a while my favorite of the year until like my number 2 came in. Because man, The Beekeeper was just something. This is borderline 2B, honestly. Because this was something I just needed. Was a nice throwback action movie. Jason Statham being Jason Statham. You know, I like they don't even really go too into what a beekeeper is. They basically just keep the government in check. That's essentially what they are. And they're like the baddest of the baddest. That is how they explain it. Jeremy Irons is fucking funny in this. Because unfortunately his son, who runs like this, not son, but his like nephew, runs like a scam organization, you know, that scams old people out of money. And they end up doing it. Granted, I think the only problem I had was the lady. I'm just gonna say it, and I get it. Suicide works different. Not, you know, obviously not. There'll be people who probably don't seem suicidal end up doing that to themselves. But at least the way the movie showed it, she didn't seem suicidal. Maybe they didn't want to show an old lady get hurt like in that way. So by somebody else, so I guess they figured go that route. But I would have maybe felt like it would have worked better just to have it go that route. Maybe someone tried to rob her and it goes wrong and she gets hurt. You don't have to have it like they intend to hurt her kind of thing. I just think that's my only real criticism is she just didn't seem like she was suicidal. But whatever. And the only other criticism I have is the lady cop subplot and the whole cop subplot in general. I think you could have cut some of the screen time down with them. I didn't necessarily need that in the movie, but I don't think it brings it down too much because it's like I still feel like you get a lot of Jason Statham. They let Jason Statham be Jason Statham in this, man. You know, he's a guy who's just trying to live a normal life, and then it's a case of he's brought back into this shit, you know? And then when they send another beekeeper after him, he fucks him up. Like, it was just a nice throwback action movie. No weird shit. No, like, oh, we need to, like, you have strong characters. You just, not well written, but it was just a nice throwback action movie. You wanted the villain to get his, and the villain was basically a crypto bro. It's essentially what he was. He was crypto bro. I've joked, and I'm just gonna say it. He's basically fucking Hunter Biden. He's basically Hunter Biden. I just had to say it. And yeah, man, I definitely recommend it. It was a fun theater experience. I have seen it. If I had to like count, rank probably the amount of movies I've seen, the most rewatches I've had of movies I've seen this year, this would be it up there. I think it's definitely up there. Nosferatu is going to be up there soon too, especially around Halloween time and Christmas time. Boy Kills World's up there too, but this was up there. This is like one of the ones I watched. I think I watched this like a couple of times, like even like right after it came out. Like especially the moment it was on the internet, I watched it. Because I fucking love this movie. It was like an action film I hadn't seen in a while. Like it feels like an action film that came out like in the 90s, you know, even in the 80s. It was just something I needed. I needed an action film like that. So I very much recommend it. Jason Statham continues to really show he's a badass. He makes the movies he wants to make. He knows what he does. He knows what his wheelhouse. And I'm fine with it. If he wants to just keep making movies like this, I wouldn't. If they want to make a Beekeeper 2, fucking do it. I'm actually very much open to a Beekeeper 2. I'm not usually do a sequel, but if it's the same people and they let Jason Statham be Jason Statham, do it. Just don't bring the female cop back. Just Jason Statham, different state, different area, And, I wouldn't mind if they brought Jeremy Irons back, too. He was fucking great. I loved his character. His hero character basically was just, you guys are even to his nephew, he's like, you fucked up. You're gonna die. You made your bed. He basically was just kind of a warning to him the whole time. Even to, the soldiers he was supposed to send to protect his fucking nephew, he was even telling them, y'all are pussies. He's gonna fuck you up. I love Jeremy Irons in this film, man. It was an action film I needed, So, The Beekeeper. My number 2 is Boy Kills World. This was one, when I saw the trailer, it just intrigued me. This guy who does not talk has a voice in his head, and it's in this kind of dystopian world. And you obviously get this whole reveal later on that his mom is actually the lady. And you have the dude from the raid, and, turns out the guy who raised him actually kidnapped him. So basically everybody fucks him over in the end. But we do find out the lady in the motorcycle vest is his sister. So you do get that reveal. The action is fucking awesome. It's if you epitome of a bloody good time, that's what this movie is. It is. The action is so fucking good, man. I have seen this film so many times since it's come out. I wish it did a bit better, but I definitely think it was my favorite film up until Nosferatu. This was my favorite film of the year. Bill Skarsgård really does a good job at playing a mute, and this is kind of what, if you remember the movie Silent Night that came out last year, This is kind of what I think Silent Night should have been. I get what John Woo was going for, but you should have had a voice in it. That's what really amplifies this film. The guy, if you remember, does the voice for, Bob's Burgers. It's Archer, um, Home Movies. He does the voice, and he's fucking great in it. Um, uh, the villain who does the villain who actually he fights in the end is was the guy in The Raid. He was fucking great. The fight scenes are so good. The choreography is smooth. It's hard hitting. I love watching like those kind of movies where the choreography is like you feel the hits, and that you do, man. And it is bloody. Like there's just like seeing people's heads get smashed in and shit like that. It's an awesome film. I love the world design. Famke Jensen was a great villain too. It was, yeah, one of my favorites of the year. It definitely takes the place as my second favorite. Bill Skarsgård is such a great like character actor, and I said this earlier, and obviously it's going to tie into my number one. Bill Skarsgård was not the problem in The Crow. I mean, I always knew that, but definitely watching this and then obviously watching my number one really shows that he was not why The Crow was bad. Everything else surrounding it, because he is a great character actor when he has like something to sink his teeth into. Obviously with this one, and now that's gonna spoil it. What my number one is, Nosferatu is like, he really is the VIP of this year, man. He was in 3 movies this year. Obviously, one of them was dog shit, but 2 of them being in my top 2 is pretty wild. Him as Count Orlok is so creepy, and obviously, I'm not going to go as long on this one because I did a whole video on it just the other day. But the atmosphere, the characters, Robert Eggers' tone, the way they were able to kind of mix like the Nosferatu story with a little bit of Bram Stoker's Dracula, Willem Dafoe's performance, the way this film feels cold, and it's perfect. The gore, very unsettling film. The score was great. Atmospheric, very gothic. It is like everything I wanted and more. Obviously, the ending I'm coming around to more and more. I just think I maybe forgot a little bit more. Maybe not 30 minutes of screen of time. Maybe like 15, 20, maybe 15, 10 to 15 more minutes. Maybe there could have been a bit more, because I do feel like the ending did just kind of happen, but it thematically makes sense for what the movie's going for, and everything else carries the movie. So for me, even if it's a criticism, it's still a great film. I still giving it a 9.5 out of 10. Robert Eggers, the way you feel like you're in the time with the dialogue and everything, yeah, that's everything I want. It's everything I wanted. So I'm not gonna go too into it, like I mentioned, just because I did a whole video on it. So especially because it's recent. Some of these other ones I did do videos on, but they were months ago. This is the one I just did, so I don't want to like just say the same thing that I just said in the other video. But anyway, Nosferatu at number one. So it has been a good year, and I'm happy to say again that I had more good films this year than worse. So it's been a pretty solid year, especially for horror, and the fact I love that a horror film made my number one. And yeah, Bill Skarsgård is the VIP of the year, man. So is Nicholas Hoult, man. Him as Thomas, some of those scenes, you felt his fear with the way he performed it. Even just like his eyes, like those subtleties, So, but yeah, guys, that's my favorite of the year. Kind of can't wait to get into my most anticipated, because I love doing those videos too. I'm hoping I can come up with something, because I will be honest, it does look kind of bad, because there's a lot of sequels. Some of them I'm kind of cool with, like Nobody 2, 28 years later, But then you're getting like Jurassic World Rebirth, which we still haven't really seen anything on. So it's like I don't know what to think of that yet. Obviously, there's a part of me that wants to have faith. Maybe they learned their lesson. Maybe they're like, you know what? We're gonna go back into the park. For one, they gotta start calling it Jurassic Park again. Stop the world name. Just drop the world name. But I'm hearing a lot of like, oh, we're going back to more like a horror tone and going back to like more of the tone of the first two films. I don't know if I believe it. I want to believe you, but I don't know. And then you're getting shit like fucking another I Know What You Did Last Summer for some fucking reason. It's just like, what the fuck? Karate Kid Legends, which the trailer was alright. I just still don't really know what to think of that yet, as I think I need to see more. But Nobody 2. That's like probably my number 2 most anticipated after 28 years later. And obviously you got like Superman and obviously you got like Fantastic Four, which I don't really give a shit about either of them. I'm gonna watch Superman, and I just did not like the trailer, so I'm not really anticipating it at all. It's like that's my least anticipated. Val's gonna be on that list now. But anyways, I will be getting into all that. I'm either gonna do that tomorrow or I'll do that on Tuesday. So, but anyways, guys, I will be getting ready to call it here. Subscribe to Pin Down Podcast. We will be back this coming Saturday. And yeah, other than that, talk to y'all later. And Happy New Year. See y'all in 2025. Well, actually, no. I'll be doing a video tomorrow. So never mind. Never mind on all that part. But talk to y'all later. Happy New Year. Peace.